bad, huh? Pretty wide? How about now? Today's video, I'm gonna share with you guys why I picked up this lens without even looking at any reviews first. We're gonna go on a paid photo shoot together and then go through the photos and just kind of see if it's worth it or not for you, whether or not it's a jack of all trades or just a master of none. I want to tell you guys how this lens performs on the field. I want to tell you how it performs day in, day out on paid photo shoots, because that's what matters to me. The reliability, the consistency, and just how it operates with my system. I'm not a TekSpex guy. I'm a working photographer. I'm a guy who is shooting and relying on this camera, relying on this lens, relying on this equipment day in, day out with paid expectations. I don't want to leave the clients wanting more. I'm more worried about the build quality and how it's going to last over time. So if you guys want to look at the TekSpex stuffs, I'll link a few channels down in the description. But for now, I've been using this lens both for photo and video on commercial gigs, as well as just fun gigs just for myself, because I really like the focal length. As much as I'm a prime user, when you have the functionality of a zoom for your storytelling, especially something as wide and as compact as this, you get to be a lot more flexible with your storytelling. So initially, my first thoughts were just how light and plasticky it felt. It was a little bit less professional than I at first anticipated, but it's still a big, hefty lens, especially when it comes to Fuji stuff. And honestly, given the age of the lens and it's still performing super well, I don't think it has affected it in any way. If you're coming at this from a Sigma art point of view and you're used to the oversized, super heavy lenses, well then yeah, this is gonna be pretty lightweight, pretty plasticky feeling, and more travel oriented maybe, but also definitely less of that sturdiness and confidence that you get with a big, heavy, reliable system.
The build quality is totally fine with this lens. I'm just wondering why the back is squared off like this. All my other X series lenses from Fuji are round. I really don't think it makes a difference in the image, but yeah, I don't know, is it just a physics limitation with like super wides?
Originally I picked up this lens because I was shooting a whole lot with some architecture and design clients, and my widest lens before this was the 28, the 18 mil, the 28 equivalent, and as much as it gives me more or less the same field of view as this 10 to 24, because I rarely shoot interiors wider than 18, even at that. But what this lens does offer me that the 28 doesn't is the zoom capabilities. When I'm in my studio, I can always take a step closer, a step further, and if you shoot, it's okay. When I'm in my studio, I can always take a step closer, a step further if I want to change my composition. But when it comes to a home and I have to photograph it the way it is, I can only back up so much sometimes. So the functionality of a zoom is really useful in those situations. I'm gonna take you guys on a gig later and show you exactly what I mean with that. I like lenses that don't have any redundancy, or I like my gear to have no redundancy. I like to have equipment that does its thing very well, and if I need it for what I'm doing, then I'm gonna hopefully go purchase it. Where are you, buddy? Oh, there he is. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Let's hopefully I got that shot over you guys. That was pretty fun. One of the worst things about the fact that there's no markers on the aperture ring, at least for this camera specifically, is that my sub-monitor is dead on the X Pro 3. So to find the aperture, I literally have to go through my optical viewfinder and, or my OVF, EVF, electronic viewfinder. Woohoo, goodness. So to find my aperture, I have to go to the EVF just to see if I didn't knock it out of place by accident, because of course it has no lock. Yeah, no markers, kind of annoying. I did notice compared to the 18 mil, it does have quite a bit less contrast. I'll show you guys two photos right here just to show that the colors and the just overall vibrancy of the image in terms of highlights and shadows, it's a little bit flatter. Nothing that you can't fix in post, but it is noticeable, especially when you're looking at them side by side. I would just say that it's a little bit flatter in terms of color profile. It doesn't give a whole lot of wow. I think a lot of this lens is functional, but it doesn't give you any kind of wow in any situation. A lot of it just kind of looks like you're shooting on your phone, to be honest with you. The autofocus versus the 18, however, is a lot smoother. I feel like the 18 is very jerky and doesn't work nearly as well for video. I would never use it in continuous. However, with the XH1 and the reduced tracking sensitivity, as well as the autofocus on the 10 to 24, I have noticed some pretty decent results. It doesn't seem to hunt nearly as much as I would expect it to. And of course, on a wide lens, most things tend to be in focus, especially at f4. Like honestly, it's pretty easy to nail your focus when you're shooting at such a wide aperture, or so when you're shooting at such a wide field of view. But even at that, it's still nice to have a pretty snappy and responsive autofocus. I feel like back when I was shooting with my Sigma stuff, I used to have the 20 and the 24mm 1.4 on my Canon, And I remember shooting, I mean, I wouldn't do this today, but shooting at 20 mil at 1.4 is just such a wow moment. And I don't think you really can achieve that result shooting at f4. It's a very unique combo to shoot at such a wide focal length and shoot at such a shallow depth of field that this lens just doesn't achieve. However, for my work, I need to shoot everything at f8 and below because everything needs to be in focus. So it's not really something that I would use for my day-to-day working, but it is worth noting that the lens doesn't offer you anything that, like, it's not gonna sell your images. Your images have to be full and complete without this lens, essentially. Shooting with a wide 10 mil, 12 mil, 16 mil field of view is very difficult to actually have something that you're looking at. Usually you're just kind of pointing and you're shooting everything in the scene and there's no real focus, there's no real subject. So it is something that you have to be a little bit more mindful when you're shooting at such a wide lens. Again, that is the versatility and the functionality of this lens. I think shooting all the way down to 24 or 35 equivalent, something like this, is just a very beautiful and flattering field of view for most applications, especially if you're just walking around, if you're traveling, if you're out in the woods, if you're just walking with your dog, whatever it may be. It's a fantastic field of view for that. And then when you need it for something a little bit wider, you can start dialing it back. But of course, the more you do, the more bow distortion you'll get. Not something I'm gonna touch on too much in this video, but of course it does give you a little bit of that fisheye view when you're looking at, 10 mil. Great for my skateboarding stuff, but not so much for portraits, if you know what I mean.
So I just loaded up the cart here for today's shoot. I actually just ordered some rock and roller casters here to upgrade these plastic ones. They have served me well, but I just want like a little smoother ride and even maybe bring the cart inside these homes here to have like a little permanent tether station with me. Couple hooks, little random upgrades here and there. I took this tip over here from Cranky Cameraman himself, just using an old tool bag as like a little catch-all, or even just to carry my video camera when it's all built up. These are always tough to find a spot for, so that's nice. Oh, over here, added some L brackets over here to make like a janky little C-stand rack. Usually rests on here, but now it's resting on my board. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm bringing. The shoot itself is in a part of town that I don't usually go to, and they've got a skate park, so I'm just bringing my skateboard and stuff for afterwards. I feel like the longer I do this, the less my stuff just looks like photography equipment. But yeah, I don't know, it's pretty cool. 2 cameras in here. Once the video cam is built, I can put it up on this quick release over here. I don't have the table upgrade for this cart, but I'm thinking of getting it machine made in town by some friends instead of, dropping the $150 on Amazon. But yeah, here's the cart. Here's the home, right on the water. Beautiful home, but doesn't really matter. The house wasn't the main focus of the shoot. Unfortunately, the layout actually brought us upstairs with kind of low ceilings, so it made it kind of tricky to light, honestly. But the main thing for me is to try and recreate the natural light, or at least something similar to the natural light, but in a way where I can shoot the images at like f11, so there's plenty of light so that, when the client zooms in on the photos for their social media post or whatever, everything ends up in focus. I shot everything here with just the two 8600s. The big soft Photech on the left is just trying to feather the light, trying to recreate the big wash of windows, but again, giving me a lot more light than the windows are actually giving me so that I can shoot at something like f8, f11, and I'm just bouncing the other light up on the ceiling and against the white wall to the right, and just kind of hopefully creating not too many distracting reflections in all the glass elements, but at the same time giving us plenty of detail for everything that's in the shot. This is just for the furniture and decor company, so it's not about the house, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out. And over here, they wanted more of a lifestyle style image, so I decided to just add in a pop of light coming in from the outside. Again, for this example, it's an 8600 Pro, just beamed up all the way on a medium intensity reflector from Strobe Pro. If you see here the natural glow on the wall, that's the real light, and the hard shadows are from my flash. So it's definitely not perfect, but I set this up in like 30 seconds, and the client was able to basically see magic happen as it showed up on the screen. So they were excited, and we went with it. What do you guys think?
And that's it for this week, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. Click right here for more gear reviews, and right over here for more photography business advice. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.